Hello everyone, my name is Madison and I'm the marketing coordinator here at the Business Software Center. Every Tuesday at 3 o'clock we bring you our Coffee Talk TBSC, and today we're going to focus on the history of software, specifically a notable woman by the name of Grace Hopper. This is a bit different than what we usually give about software asset management or SaaS or the cloud, but we think it's really important to honor women in history that really made an impact. So in today's talk, we will be going over Grace Hopper. Who was she? Just keep in mind that our questions and answers section is open on the right-hand side. Feel free to leave any questions and comments. It's just me working, so at the end is when I'll be able to do this, just because I can't see the questions at the same time. And usually I am on camera, but unfortunately my internet is a bit slow today, so I will not be on camera just to save the bandwidth for the streaming. So yeah, we're just going to go ahead and dive into our Coffee Talk TBSC. If you ever need to reach me, feel free to use the hashtag and find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, or YouTube, or you can email me info@businesssoftwarecenter.com. So here, I have a question for you. When you use software, do you ever really wonder where it comes from? You know, software is one of those things that's so fused into our everyday life. I think most of the time we don't even think anything of it at all. Whether you're training to be a cashier at a retail store, that's using software. Whether you're typing a Word document and sending an important resume out to a job, that's using software. Software really is everywhere and we interact with it every day. So where did it exactly come from? Well, I'm about to teach you where it came from with Grace Hopper. Now, she is an American mathematician and Rear Admiral in the US Navy, and she pioneered in the development of computer technology. So you can see that this is Grace Hopper sitting here in front of a computer. And so I'm just going to go over a bit of her early years and backstory. So she was born in December 9th, 1906 in New York. Her mother loved mathematics, and her mother really passed down that love to her. At a very young age, Grace showed an interest in engineering, and there was this really cute story that I found. When she was 7 years old, she was really fascinated by this alarm clock that she had, and so what she did was she completely took the alarm clock apart just to look at all the pieces and try to figure out the puzzle and how they came back together. And her mother didn't realize that Grace was doing this until it was too late and all the pieces were all over the floor. And so, yeah, I think that's just really fascinating how she could really tell early on that this is just one of those passions that she was going to turn into a career. And so with Hopper's education, now early on when she was a little girl, she did attend all girls schools, but then later on she went to Vassar College and she graduated in 1928 while studying math and physics. Later, she was able to attend Yale University and receive a master's degree in 1930. So it's really well done on her, putting her smarts to good use and getting that degree and just finding her place in the world with her passions. And so with Hopper's career, she later turned into an instructor at the Department of Mathematics at Vassar College. But during this time, she was really interested in joining the military. And this was right on the brink of World War II. And she was told to stay as a mathematics instructor because that would be serving her country for the better. But she just didn't really want to do that. She really wanted to serve her country in another way. And so with effort, she was able to get into the Naval Reserve. So in 1943, she was admitted into the Navy, and she did her training at Midshipman's School. And so Hopper and computers, this is where she was, and during the Navy is when she was really involved in computers. And so she worked in the Bureau of Ordnance Computation Project at the Kraft Laboratories at Harvard University in 1944. And so her first task during this time period was to compute the coefficients of the Arcton series by next Thursday. So she was given a week to get this done using a Mark I computer. And she was really excited because she has that engineer mind, and her education up to this point was just really exciting for her to get hands-on with this Mark I computer. So towards the end of the war, she did get an advance and work on the Mark II computer, and this is where the story of the computer bug comes from, or why we use the word bug to get today. So with the Harvard Mark II computer, it wasn't really working, and they were trying to figure out why, and it turns out that there was a moth stuck in the computer. And so that's where the term debugging comes from, because they had to take the actual moth out of the computer in order for it to function properly. So I think that's just a really interesting backstory as to where this word comes from, because we so often use it today, and we think of it as, you know, taking a virus off a computer or fixing the computer in some way, but it was actually a real bug that they cleaned the computer. They cleaned from the computer. So in 1946, she did end her Navy duty, but in 1949, she worked at the Eckert-Mauchly Computer Corporation as a senior mathematician. And this is where she developed the first computer compiler. It was called the Flowmatic, which is the first English language data processor compiler. So she was definitely very busy working hard in Eckert-Mauchly Computer Corporation. What's really interesting to note here is, even though she did leave the Navy, later on in life, she rejoined the Navy. I believe it was in the 1960s she rejoined the Navy, and she ended up retiring from the Navy in her 80s. So there was just something inside of her as well, just like being an engineer, just, you know, being part of the Navy was something she really enjoyed doing. It was another passion. So she went back later on in life to carry out the rest of her career in the Navy. Now, Hopper is known to have many awards, and so I'm just going to go over a few of them here. She was the Fellow of the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, a Fellow of the American Association for Advancement of Science. She won achievements and awards from the Society of Women Engineers and Electrical and Electronic Engineers. Now, she was not known as the first Computer Science Man of the Year by the Data Processing Management Association. And in the 1970s, she received the Harry Good Memorial Award, a medal, and $2,000 awarded by the Computer Society, which, I mean, that's a lot of money back in the 70s. And some more of Hopper's honors are: she was the first woman to be elected Distinguished Fellow of the British Computer Society. She was the first American elected to this honor as well. In 1973, she was elected to the National Academy of Engineering. And Hopper collected a remarkable number of honorary degrees, receiving at least 37 between 1972 and 1987. So you can see, even though she was really remarkable with her mind as a young adult, she definitely really grew into her career, and later on in life developed her ability to understand computers and program and all of that stuff that really influences where we are at today when it comes to computer programming. She was really fascinated by being able to put rules into a computer and it having outputs based off of the rules that she gave the computer. So, I mean, that's something that obviously we use a lot today with computer programming. So I'm just going to go ahead and check and see if we have any questions coming in to the chat. I know it's only 10 minutes is not a lot of time to talk about such a fascinating woman, but we do have a question here. It says, besides Grace, who were some other famous women? I can certainly go over that. I have just a few slides here. I found many lists of modern women, but I'm just going to go over a few that made history. And I have another question here. It says, is Grace Hopper still alive? Unfortunately, Grace Hopper did pass away in 1992, but she did leave this huge legacy, and she really paved the way as a pioneer in computer programming and computer development. So let me just go ahead and get back to my slide here. So here I have some slides of other notable women in software. I found this was really interesting with Ada Lovelace, the prophet of computer age. She was born 1815, died 1852. She was the kind of person who was able to fuse art and technology together. And what's really interesting is she has a lot of the same interests as Grace Hopper, because when she was growing up, her interest was in science and mathematics, and her parents really wanted to cultivate that, and so they allowed her to study science and mathematics. Later in life, she, as an adult, I believe she was 26 or so at the time, she worked with Charles Babbage, and this was on the analytical engine, and because of this, she was deemed the first computer programmer, because what she was able to figure out is that you could put rules into the computer and the computer will act based on the rules that what are imported into it. So that's why she's marked as the first computer programmer, at least that's what I found in my research. And then with additional research, I found something really interesting about these ladies during World War II called the Eniac programmers. Now, it's a group of 6 women, and they created the first programmable computer that was fully electronic. And this project was run by the US Army and was a secret World War II project. So you can see all the ladies here pictured and their names here as well. So, I mean, it's just one of those things that maybe we don't overly hear about much, but women really did make a big impact in the software industry. And I think this is just an interesting course to go down, and I hope in the future I can do more coffee talks that highlight other key influential figures in the software industry, just because I think it's fascinating and, you know, we should know this information. So I don't see any new questions coming in at this time. So I just want to remind everyone that we do have our coffee talks every Tuesday at 3 o'clock London time. Our next coffee talk you can see here is Challenges for SAM Managers in 2021. That is the 23rd of February. You can sign up for free on Eventbrite or LinkedIn. And we do have our spring 2021 coffee talks starting in March. So yes, please feel free to sign up. They're all free, very interesting information for you there. And you're welcome to network with me using the hashtag CoffeeTalkTBSC. All right, you can see the hashtag here. So yes, feel free to connect, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, or you can email me, info@businesssoftwarecenter.com. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you next week. Bye.